When the Tarian Empire invaded Earth, they expected an easy win. Instead, they faced the Doomslayer, a lone warrior whose unmatched strength turned the tide. Amid the chaos, Drek, a mere cook, survived to tell this tale. Unveil the secrets of this defiant resistance and ponder. What are the ethics of wielding immense power against tyranny? If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. When the formidable Tarian Empire launched its invasion of Earth, they anticipated an effortless victory. But what awaits is a nightmarish resistance that turns the tide of intergalactic dominion. What mysteries lie behind the Doomslayer's unyielding power? How did a mere cook survive to tell the tale? Stay until the end to uncover a revelation that will challenge everything you believe about strength, freedom, and the price of tyranny. The beginning. The Tarian Empire's invasion force, known as the Frota de Aquisicao, descended upon Earth with a singular mission: to enslave humanity and strip the planet of its resources. They were equipped with the most advanced technologies and highly trained soldiers, prepared to crush any resistance they might encounter. But Earth did not yield as easily as other conquered worlds. The ship Destiny's Embrace, piloted by a seasoned and diverse alien crew, was obliterated in one of the first skirmishes. Among this crew were beings from various corners of the galaxy, lured by the Empire's promise of glory and resources. Lieutenant Herrick, a towering reptilian warrior with scarred scales and predatory eyes, was in command. Skilled in combat and strategy, Herrick had never encountered a foe he couldn't defeat until now. The sole survivor of the destruction was Drek, the humble cook. Drek was an unassuming figure, with short, wiry hair, a slender build, and large, soulful eyes that often betrayed his gentle nature. His quiet demeanor and meticulous attention to culinary details had made him well liked among the crew, though they often underestimated his perceptiveness. As he stood trembling before the imposing heights of the Alto Cancelo, he recounted a tale drenched in horror and despair. According to Drek, a human unlike any they had ever encountered had emerged as the architect of their downfall. This solitary warrior, known only as the Doomslayer, possessed an unrivaled arsenal and unstoppable rage, decimating the Tarian advancements without hesitation. His armor gleamed with an otherworldly luminescence, and each movement was executed with lethal precision. The Doomslayer's eyes burned with an intensity that spoke of unspeakable loss and a boundless desire for retribution. His tactics were devastatingly effective, and the advanced Tarian technology faltered at every turn. Drek described the encounters in chilling detail: the sheer force of the Doomslayer's attacks, the way he moved through their defenses as if they were paper, and the haunting silence that followed in his wake. His unyielding power and relentless ferocity were like nothing the Tarian soldiers had ever faced. Panic spread among the troops as the Doomslayer dismantled fleet after fleet, his armor impervious to their attacks. The Tarian commanders convened a desperate conclave, their once unshakable confidence replaced by trepidation. The Alto Cancelo, the highest tier of Tarian authority, was comprised of individuals known for their tactical genius and ruthless efficiency. Leader among them was General Erstor, a being with crystalline skin that shimmered under the artificial lights of the council chamber. His voice, sharp and cold, commanded attention and respect. As casualty reports multiplied, the councillors could scarcely fathom the horrors Drek described. They had never faced a foe that not only matched but surpassed their might. The scale of their losses precipitated a collective crisis. The Empire's formidable installations, once symbols of their invincible dominion, had been reduced to smoldering ruins by this enigmatic human. Among those present was strategist Vorka, a slender figure with iridescent wings and piercing violet eyes, renowned for her ability to turn the tide of any battle through cunning and innovation. She attempted to find logic in the chaos, seeking patterns in the Doomslayer's actions and motives. But with each passing hour, it became clear that traditional strategies would not suffice against this unprecedented threat. Drek's testimony sent shockwaves through the Empire's leadership, revealing the calamitous impact of the failed invasion. The once mighty Tarian fleet, the terror of countless worlds, was now cowering in fear of a single human. The ignominious reality was hard to digest for beings who had conquered solar systems with ease. The Alto Cancello was faced with an urgent dilemma: how to counter an enemy who seemed unstoppable, whose very presence evoked dread. Leader Erstor ordered a full-scale analysis of the Doomslayer's previous battles. They needed to understand the source of his power, his weaknesses, if any, and the reasons behind his apparently boundless rage. Intel officers and analysts, some of the sharpest minds in the Empire, dissected every scrap of data. But the Doomslayer was not merely a force of destruction, he was an enigma. Drek mentioned strange, almost mystical occurrences surrounding him. Some spoke of his ability to regenerate from wounds that would be fatal to others, while others swore they had seen him vanish and reappear in the midst of battle. Each tale was more outlandish than the last, yet in the face of their crushing defeats, the Council could not dismiss these accounts as mere superstition. Drek himself, though considered an insignificant figure, carried the weight of his crew's demise. He had seen friends and comrades cut down with terrifying efficiency, their screams echoing in his mind. His survival was an anomaly. Some among the Council speculated it was sheer luck, while others wondered if there was a deeper, unknown reason for his miraculous escape. Among the many officers under Vorka's command, there was a silent acknowledgement of the surreal nature of their predicament. They had expected Earth to fall like any other world, swiftly, with minimal resistance. The sudden shift from anticipated victory to near total annihilation was a shock that rippled through every level of the Empire's hierarchy. As the Council deliberated, news of the Doom Slayer spread like wildfire across the galaxy. In the distant colonies subjugated under Tarian rule, murmurs of defiance began to stir. Oppressed species who had long suffered under the iron grip of the Empire saw a glimmer of hope in the Doomslayer's unyielding fight. His ironclad resolve and extraordinary combat skills became a symbol of resistance, inspiring many to think about rising against their oppressors. The Doomslayer's actions had far-reaching consequences, unsettling the delicate balance of power across the galaxy. On planets once forgotten by the Tarian Empire, underground resistance movements started to organize, drawing courage and motivation from the tales of this human warrior. Yet, within the higher echelons of Tarian society, a more profound dilemma took root. The Empire's leaders, who had always viewed themselves as the rightful rulers of the cosmos, were now questioning their own invincibility. The Doomslayer had exposed a vulnerability, a chink in their seemingly impenetrable armor. Their entire philosophy of dominance and control was at stake. As leader Erstor and his counselors struggled with the immediate military crisis, they also faced a deeper, existential threat: the potential unraveling of the Empire itself. The void of space was not a mere silent expanse. It had now become a theater of relentless warfare, with the Doomslayer dominating the starscape like a god of destruction. Crossing the threshold of the impossible, he decimated entire legions of highly trained Tarian soldiers with surgical precision. His armor, an iridescent mixture of advanced Earth technology and scavenged Tarian enhancements, remained untarnished even under the highest artillery fire. His presence on the battlefield was a symphony of chaos, punctuated by the catastrophic fall of Tarian war machines. Within the Tarian High Command, shockwaves of distress reverberated. The headquarters, a colossal structure orbiting the desolate moon of Zetar 9, was a fortress of strategic importance. Its polished metallic walls and holographic displays were designed to command awe and patience, but now they depicted a grim tableau. The array of hollow screen projections displayed relentless failures as crimson alerts signaled more bad news. Each sequence of tactical data, fed to the command center by their frontline units, confirmed the devastating progress of the Doomslayer. 5 imposing figures sat at the pinnacle of the Tarian hierarchy, known collectively as the Alto Cancello. Their intricate uniforms shimmered with an almost ceremonial gravitas, adorned with medallions signifying their ranks and honors. The counselors, seasoned veterans of galactic conquests, now found themselves questioning their purpose. Commander Zarathar, a towering figure with a scar-laden face and eyes that bore the weariness of countless battles, broke the unforgiving silence. His voice, usually resonant with power, trembled with an undertone of apprehension. "We have underestimated this human's capability. Our reports indicate that the Doomslayer has an uncanny mastery over our own technology." In the corner, Counselor Viza raised an eyebrow. A strategist and scientist renowned for her piercing intellect and icy demeanor, she visibly wrestled with the unfolding disaster. Her digitally enhanced eyes methodically scanned the battlefield data. "He's no mere human. His combat data shows an anomalous proficiency, near impossible reflexes, adaptation rates, and tactical decision-making. The nanites in his blood do not match any known Earth specimen we've encountered." The diverse makeup of the Tarian forces had rarely faced existential threats since their reign began. Entire planetary systems had bowed to their will, yet this singular entity wreaked havoc on a scale they could scarcely predict. Drek, the cook turned improbable confidant, stood in apprehensive silence near the corner of the room. His once pleasureful face now wore an indelible mask of haunted resolve. Outside the confines of the military command, the Tarian colonies, especially those on the fringe worlds, became stages for unexpected skirmishes. Planets like Velaria 5, known for its dense jungles and bioluminescent flora, became the ground zero for his guerrilla warfare. In those humid, verdant expanses, a squad of elite Tarian soldiers, clad in camouflage exosuits, patrolled with unease. Lieutenant Moros, a sinewy figure with a helmet mounted with multispectral visors, led his team through the underbrush with measured caution. The dense canopy above filtered the moon's light into a ghostly twilight, casting eerie shadows on the ground. They moved in silence, well aware that their high-tech gear provided little advantage against an unseen enemy. Suddenly, rapid digital beeps sounded, a proximity alarm. Before they could react, the forest erupted. The Doomslayer, emerging from the darkness, was a blur of motion, his presence accompanied by the fierce hum of his plasma rifle and the visceral growl of his chainsaw blade. The former Tarian commander found himself frozen. All the training in the universe could not prepare him for this human tempest. The ensuing battle was swift and brutal, the soldiers' cries swallowed by the jungle. Elsewhere, on the desert plains of Karaz, known for its scorching dunes and crystalline formations, another facet of the Doomslayer's campaign unfolded. A convoy of Tarian transport ships, laden with resources extracted from subjugated worlds, trudged through the unforgiving landscape. Piloting one of the lead craft was Ensign Telka, a younger officer eager to rise through the ranks. The confident chatter among her crew belied the omnipresent fear lurking beneath the surface. The Doomslayer struck with the calculated fury of a sandstorm. From a hidden vantage point amidst the crystalline spires, he commenced his assault. Projectiles seared through the air, each bolt finding its target with lethal precision. The convoy descended into chaos, with vehicles exploding in cascading plumes of fire. Telka, grappling with her controls, saw firsthand the destructive wrath of an enemy they had utterly underestimated. As the months wore on, the frequency and intensity of the Doomslayer's attacks escalated. His strategic acumen was evident. He struck where the Terrians were most vulnerable, eroding their morale and sapping the strength from their seemingly indomitable war machine. His tactical diversity only made the Terrians' task of predicting his next move a ceaseless challenge. Colonel Raxius, stationed on Arcturus, the ice planet equipped with an extensive refugee camp turned Terrian outpost, found his sense of duty colliding with the moral quandaries of war. The citizens there, a mixture of native Arcturans, humans, and other species, were caught amid the crossfire. The refugee camps cobbled together housing and rudimentary tech provided little contortion against the backdrop of the encroaching shadow of doom. The cold winds howled through the hastily erected barriers, carrying the uneasy whispers of oppressed souls. As Raxius navigated the labyrinthine passageways of the camp, his mind grappled with the ethical complexities his role entailed. Could imposing their will on other species ever be justified? The arrival of a wounded Terrian soldier disrupted his ruminations. The young soldier's eyes widened in horror as he recounted an encounter with the Doom Slayer, an onslaught that cost them dearly but spared the refugees. The human warrior, a paradox of savagery and measured restraint, chose his targets judiciously. Back in orbit, the Alto Consulo's deliberations grew increasingly desperate. The holographic projections in the command center now displayed not just maps of Earth, but holologs from distant colonies and star systems bearing the stark marks of the Doomslayer's campaign. The Grand Council's strategic focus shifted anxiously to defensive measures, debating the ethical ramifications of deploying a dread weapon, a decision not taken lightly. Commander Zarathur and Councillor Viza clashed in heated debates, reflecting the strife within Terrian High Command. Zarathur argued for unleashing the Sokyle Protocol, an ancient but deadly bioweapon capable of mass destruction. Viza, for once abandoning her steely restraint, vehemently opposed it. "We are not monsters. This protocol will annihilate not just the Doomslayer, but countless innocents." As the chaos of the Terrian Empire's invasion intensified, the figure of the Doom Slayer loomed ever larger, casting a long shadow across the stars. Scarred yet unyielding, the Terrian commanders grappled with an adversary they had never anticipated. Through the corridors of their remaining warships, fear whispered in hushed tones, and the echoes of despair bounced off silent, alien walls. The Doom Slayer's helmet, a monolith of unrelenting visage, hid eyes that had seen too much. His methods, though honed in the crucible of earthly warfare, demonstrated a profound grasp of Terrian technology. His captured warship, chosen meticulously from the debris of a destroyed fleet, became both his chariot and weapon. Through this craft, he dissected the Empire's defenses, a scalpel of destruction cleaving through their shallow armor. Within the bowels of this commandeered vessel, the Doomslayer discovered a trove of Terrian archives. Holographic projections flickered to life, revealing the intricate web of Terrian military strategy and the hidden vulnerabilities of their sprawling empire. Alien glyphs danced before his eyes, deciphered through sheer force of will. He absorbed these secrets, converting every insight into another nail in the Terrian coffin. The warship itself, a marvel of Terrian engineering, was an imposing sight. Pulsating with an eerie, teal luminescence, its corridors were a labyrinth of seamless metal and bioorganic interfaces, alive with an unnerving hum. The ship's central chambers housed advanced portal technology, devices that could bend the fabric of reality to transport soldiers instantaneously across the galaxy. But in the hands of the Doomslayer, these tools became strategic assets against their creators. Amongst the archives, a particular file caught his attention: Operation Dominion. It detailed a plan for total planetary domination using a complex network of quantum gates, designed to rapidly deploy troops and resources to any corner of the galaxy. To the Doomslayer, this was both a revelation and an opportunity. He reprogrammed the ship's quantum gates, not merely as teleportation devices but as instruments of guerrilla warfare. This recalibration allowed him to appear anywhere within the Terrian fleets, ambushing squads, dismantling command centers, and sowing chaos. His enemies couldn't predict his movements. It was like fighting a ghost, a relentless apparition of vengeance. The burgeoning legend of the Doom Slayer ignited hope across disparate worlds. On remote planets where Terrian oppression was a daily torment, stories of his exploits spurred subterranean movements to rise against the Empire's iron grip. In the shadowed enclaves of resistance cells, blueprints and schematics stolen from Terrian archives passed like sacred texts from hand to trembling hand. Whispered incantations of revolt blossomed into full-blown insurgency. The Terrian response was swift and brutal. They dispatched their most elite units, the Phalanx Brigade, in a futile attempt to quell the uprisings and neutralize the Slayer's influence. Clad in obsidian armor, the Phalanx Brigade was reputed to be invincible. Yet, faced with the Doomslayer's relentless pursuit, even these fearsome warriors fell. Each engagement further exposed the fragility of their supremacy, as their advanced tactics crumbled under the Slayer's relentless onslaught. In a clandestine lab on the fringes of the Empire, Terrian scientists watched in horror as the telemetry from their prized brigade faltered and went dark. Among these scientists was Valora, a cybernetic savant born on the arboreal planet Savoria. Her slender frame, augmented with metallic limbs of delicate precision, moved with calculated grace through the lab's sterile environment. Polar to the ruthless Terrian ethos, Valora harbored a secret disdain for the Empire's tyranny. Her curiosity about human resilience and the enigmatic Doom Slayer had kindled an internal conflict. By day, she deciphered battle data to devise countermeasures. By night, she clandestinely drained information from the Empire's databases, seeking a chink in its monolithic facade. One fateful evening, Valora discovered an encoded transmission from an embattled planet, the last stronghold before the Doomslayer's next probable strike. Her agile fingers danced over holographic controls, decrypting the message to reveal a plea for aid from an oppressed colony, accompanied by the Slayer's promise: a dawn of liberation. Valora's titanium grip on the console tightened. For the first time, she saw the Empire's decline not just as inevitable, but as potentially orchestrated. Fueled by a newfound resolve, Valora embarked on a perilous path, covertly aiding resistance factions by leaking critical military schematics. Among the many tortured souls questioning their roles in this galactic theater, her transformation was a silent yet potent pivot away from the homogeny of Terrian oppression. Meanwhile, the once mighty Terrian installations and fortresses fell like dominoes under the Slayer's assault. The obliterated landscapes teeming with remnants of battle bore testament to his unforgiving crusade. The Empire's advanced weaponry and defensive paradigms, fractured and reverse-engineered, only served to amplify the rebellion's escalating fury. Amidst the collapsing footholds of Terrian power, the Doomslayer's agenda remained twofold: dismantling the systemic machinery of oppression and freeing the enslaved populace. His campaigns weren't merely tactical but also symbolic, each liberated world serving as a banner of defiance. He dismantled the nerve centers of the Empire's communication networks, leaving their forces directionless and isolated. In the unprecedented tranquility of a fortified Terrian spire, a conclave of high-ranking officials convened to contrive a last-ditch stratagem. Their visages, a tapestry of alien physiognomies cast in hues of despair and resignation, exchanged grim deliberations. The Doom Slayer had become more than a mere human adversary. He was the epitome of retribution, a cosmic reckoning manifest. Their deliberations, fractious and desperate, centered on deploying the Empire's most forbidden technology, a device capable of tearing the very fabric of space-time, aiming to erase the Slayer from every timeline and contingent reality. It was a proposition fraught with existential peril. Should it fail, the reverberations could shatter the continuum itself. The decision, unanimously fraught, was deemed a measure of catastrophic proportions, reflecting the Empire's inaptitude to curb the Slayer's tide of resistance. As the Tarian hierarchy descended into fragmented anarchy, Valora continued her surreptitious crusade. Through encrypted communications, she directed rebel forces to key vulnerabilities within the Empire's infrastructure. Her insights proved invaluable, enabling coordinated strikes that exacerbated the already rampant disarray. By leveraging her insider knowledge, resistance commandos infiltrated and sabotaged critical facilities, their destructions punctuated by the charismatic resonance of liberty. The Doom Slayer's ceaseless advance remained the centerpiece of these escalating confrontations, his solitary silhouette cutting through the haze of war with almost methodical precision. The remnant fragments of the Tarian Empire, once an unassailable juggernaut, now resembled a disheveled coalition barely holding onto its fraying consciousness. The once grandiose high citadel of Tyr stood as a shadow of its former radiance, now encased in a perpetual haze of desperation and impending doom. Anxiety permeated the air like an unseen toxin, corrupting the once invincible resolve of those who had commanded the vast, ruthless machinations of the Tarian forces. The Doom Slayer's unyielding onslaught hung over them like a specter, casting a relentless shadow even in their most fortified sanctuaries. Even the Tarian Prime Minister, Xanter's Vib, an imposing figure with obsidian scales and piercing azure eyes, whose mere glance could once instill fear into subordinates, felt the weight of the impending collapse. Vib was a figure who epitomized the Tarian ethos of strength and domination. He possessed a voice that resonated like thunder through the halls of power, yet now, his bellowing commands echoed through empty corridors. The architects of oppression had become architects of their ruin, undone by a solitary human whose fury transcended their worst nightmares. Across the stars, the name, Doom Slayer, had become synonymous with unstoppable vengeance and unwavering justice. The echoes of his deeds resounded throughout liberated worlds, an enduring symphony of defiance and emancipation. His relentless pursuit of justice tore through the once mighty Tarian technological war machines like wildfire, dismantling them with lethal precision. Every sector that he touched became a bastion of resistance, each victory a catalyst for revolt. Admiral Kalith, a renowned strategic genius among the Tarian ranks and infamous for his tactical brutality, found himself cornered in his flagship, the Conqueror's Might. Kalith, known for his sharp, reptilian features and cold, unyielding eyes, was infamous for his unshakable resolve. His naval suit, adorned with battle honors and the emblem of conquest, once signified his unrelenting supremacy. However, the once unconquerable aura was tarnished with the constant reminders of defeat and his own diminishing authority. In a dimly lit command chamber, Kalith summoned a clandestine council of his most trusted operatives, their holographic forms shimmering amidst the darkened room. Each one carried the heavy burden of their crumbling empire's fate, faces somber and lined with anxiety. Together, these formidable strategists formulated what they hoped would be an impenetrable line of defense, yet their plans seemed laughable in the face of their adversaries' relentless adaptation and sheer ferocity. How can one being wreak such havoc? One counselor muttered in disbelief, echoing the sentiment that plagued them all. His actions are guided by precision and rage that defy our comprehension, Kalith responded, bitterness coating his every word. We must anticipate the unpredictable. The meeting adjourned with no confidence, and the admiral returned to his bridge, his mind swirling with fragmented strategies. The stars outside glowed cold and indifferent to the plight of the Tarian fleet. It was as if they knew that their fall was inevitable, scripted among the celestial patterns. The nascent rebel coalition, bolstered by the Doomslayers' victories over the Terrian oppression, was no longer an undercurrent, they were a surging tide. On the planet Takara, once a hub of subjugation, enslaved species rose in unison, fueled by the Doomslayers' example. Takara's dense jungles, with their bioluminescent flora and towering cyberstructures, became the stage for fierce confrontations where rebels struck concealed Terrian encampments, turning their weapons against their former oppressors. Among these rebels was Valora, an insectoid warrior from the planet Savoria. Valora's chitinous exoskeleton shimmered in the ethereal jungle light, her multifaceted eyes reflecting boundless determination. Her mandibles clicked with fervor as she relayed commands, orchestrating her unit's movements with unparalleled precision. Valora's curiosity about the Doom Slayer had transformed into reverence as she witnessed the tide of liberation he had incited. Once a reticent scholar of Earth's flora, the fire of rebellion had forged her into an agile and lethal leader. The cascade of interstellar communications buzzed across the liberated zones. Whispers of the Doomslayer's next moves, reverent chants in underground halls, battle cries echoing through the crumbling remains of Terrian citadels. Amid this chaotic symphony, the Doomslayer himself remained an elusive wraith. His presence was often a mere ripple before the storm, yet his imprint was indelible. Within the once impregnable orbital command hub Delta, the Doomslayer established a covert operations center, using it as a nerve center for his tactical advances. This floating fortress of Terrian innovation, now under human command, encapsulated the irony of their downfall. Obsidian walls now bore the scars of battle, repurposed alien technology served to its human master's will. Holographic displays flickered with decrypted enemy movements. The Doomslayer, clad in battle-worn armor, surveyed these with an intensity that seemed to pierce dimensions. Each mission from this hub was meticulously planned, targeting Terrian strongholds with brutal efficiency. Salvaged Terrian armaments augmented his arsenal, a cruel testament to their ingenuity turned against them. His mastery of interdimensional portals rendered retreat impossible for his foes, trapping them in their own labyrinth before he descended upon them, a harbinger of unstoppable force. On distant worlds, insurgent leaders echoed the Doomslayer's battle tactics, adapting advanced Terrian technology for insurrection at ends. Valora's unit, equipped with pilfered energy rifles and shield generators, ambushed supply convoys, reclaiming resources and lives once trampled beneath Terrian boots. Each encounter cemented the indomitable spirit spreading across the stars, a relentless surge unmarred by fear. In the smoldering ruins of the Terrian refinery on Draconis 7, a planet known for its brutal work camps and sulfuric atmosphere, a significant breakthrough crystallized. The Doomslayer and a contingent of rebels unearthed a neglected database housing the very heart of Terrian strategy, a war room compendium. The discovery of the Terrian battle protocols encrypted in a forgotten antechamber sent ripples of excitement through the resistance. A layer of grim determination shadowed the revelations, as the brimming potential of the database hinged on unraveling its intricate inscriptions. The Terrian High Command's theorized insurmountable planning was being dissected and turned inward to strangle its operations. With each decrypted segment, the network of Terrian strongholds, fleet deployments, and supply chains became glaring targets for the insurgent wave. The Doomslayer's AI, a sentient force uniquely designed to enhance his tactical prowess, had calculated every potential outcome of the fractured Terrian leadership's desperate attempts to retaliate. The AI's forewarning, transmitted through encrypted channels, was not merely a threat but a declaration of inevitability. Their reign of terror would disintegrate, or they would face extinction at the hands of the vengeful cosmos. Each algorithmically precise syllable carried the weight of 1,000 suns, pressing down on the remaining Terrian High Command like an unyielding gravitational force. Within the Terrian Command Center, a palpable dread settled. The once grandiose halls, filled with meticulously maintained panels and holographic displays, now mirrored the fractured state of their empire. The leaders, a collective of strategic minds from different corners of the galaxy, stood in silence, absorbed in their rapidly diminishing options. Their bronze-colored uniforms, symbols of unchallenged authority, now bore the unwelcome stains of fear and uncertainty. General Xarius, esteemed for her razor-sharp intellect and unflinching decisiveness, broke the oppressive silence. Her voice, once a clarion call to unwavering loyalty and unyielding power, now trembled with a mix of desperation and steely resolve. "We must consolidate our forces," she implored, eyes scanning the room for allies among the ranks of quivering generals and admirals. Every remaining ship, every loyal officer must be rallied for one final stand. However, the seeds of doubt had already taken root. Commanders whispered among themselves, their hushed tones underscored by rising panic. The Doomslayer's name circulated like a phantom accusation, each utterance a nail in the coffin of their dying resolve. Rumors about his spectral presence, his ability to emerge from the void and wreak havoc with unparalleled ferocity, only deepened their existential dread. Meanwhile, far removed from the Terrian stronghold, the Doomslayer moved with an uncanny steadiness. His armor, a fusion of human resilience and stolen Terrian technology, glowed an ominous red, its power amplified by the grim determination that fueled him. He traversed the vastness of space, his every step bolstered by the AI's precision and the weight of countless oppressed souls rallying behind his unseen figure. On the desolate planet of Vuldar, once a vibrant hub within the Terrian dominion, the evidence of the Empire's rupture was unmistakable. Liberation brought tumult and a semblance of chaotic freedom. The remnants of Terrian military force were disorganized, scattered, and utterly demoralized. The rebels, invigorated by the legend of the Doomslayer, clashed with their oppressors, their improvised strategies driven by the burning desire for autonomy. In the cold expanse of the Andromeda sector, the Doomslayer orchestrated his final assault. He stood atop the commandeered Terrian warship, its technological marvels now an extension of his indomitable will. The ship's hull, once a symbol of Terrian supremacy, gleamed with a fierce new purpose under his command. Its intricate weaponry, now flawlessly synced with his AI-guided intents, pointed toward the last bastion of Terrian might. The clash was instantaneous and cataclysmic. The Terrian defense, held together by a thin thread of hope and residual might, crumbled under the onslaught. The Doomslayer's strategy was impeccable, his precision lethal. Advanced Terrian battlecraft dissolved into plumes of debris under the relentless hail of plasma fire. Command codes were overridden, systems were hacked, and before long, the once impenetrable stronghold disintegrated into a cascade of explosions and smoke. General Xarius, aboard the Terrian flagship, witnessed the utter decimation of her fleet. Her calculated composure, honed over years of unquestioned command, wavered as the abyss of defeat loomed closer. She knew that the fight was lost long before the last hull breached and the final plasma bolt found its mark. The scale of their losses was undeniable, their defeat unequivocal. As the last of the Terrian defenses fell, the AI transmitted a final message to the remnants of the Terrian High Command. "This is the end of your tyranny. Surrender and face judgment, or remain defiant and face annihilation." The echoes of the message reverberated through the shattered remnants of the Terrian communications network. For those enslaved under their regime, the message was a beacon of hope. Oppressive chains shattered, replaced by the undeniable truth that the thirst for justice and freedom was unquenchable. On distant worlds, the news of Terrian defeat spread with lightning speed. Civilizations oppressed for centuries rose in jubilation. The Doomslayer's epic tale transcended mere legend, evolving into a powerful catalyst for interstellar unity against tyranny. His indomitable spirit, the ultimate testament to resilience, now echoed through the void, a stark reminder of the triumph of the downtrodden. As the dust of the final battle settled, the galaxy stood in awe of the human warrior whose unyielding quest for justice had recalibrated the balance of power. Stars, once silent witnesses to countless atrocities, now shone brighter, their luminous presence a silent symphony heralding a new era of freedom. In the interstellar abyss, the Doom Slayer remained an enigmatic sentinel, his figure a constant deterrent against the resurgence of oppression. He was an exemplar of justice, a relentless force ensuring that the dark shadows of tyranny would never again dim the brilliance of freedom. Thus, the story of the Doom Slayer and the downfall of the Terran Empire concluded, leaving behind an indelible mark on the annals of intergalactic history. It was a story of courage, resolve, and the unyielding spirit that binds all beings in the cosmic quest for liberty. This saga, steeped in pain and triumph alike, resonated through the cosmos, an eternal reminder of the unassailable power of resistance and the everlasting quest for freedom. Stay to the end, relish the saga, and witness the relentless pursuit of freedom that echoes through the cosmos. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.